Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from AnthonysCustoms, and I have finally finished this statue, this bust. It's been a while in the making. I started it last spring. I think it was last spring. Actually, maybe it was the fall before that. I don't even remember. We could check. In fact, there are videos of the process up here. You can click on them up here. I have one supercut video that has all of them put together. It's really, really fast, and that's the one that people seem to watch the most, but then a lot of people complain that it's too fast, which is interesting because I also have a playlist of all of the slightly sped up videos as well, and they're actually linked in that original video, but they'll be up here as well. So there's a playlist of all of those that are only slightly fast, and then there's just one supercut of everything really, really fast put together. So if you want to see the build process for this guy short of painting, that will be on there. And so there's one question that I'm sure most people are asking if you watched those videos, and that is, what happened to the legs? Well, here's the story. I'll go through the entire story of this guy. When I decided to do this, it was simply just a study type of project. I wanted to see if I could do it. Could I make a statue? You know, how's the process going to work out? That kind of thing. It was really just an experiment of both my skills and just so that I could learn about the whole thing. So that's all it was. And I originally had planned on making just a bust. Okay, so that's what you guys saw me sculpting for the vast majority of those videos if you watched them. Then at the very end, you could see that I had started to sculpt some legs. And here's the thing. I don't get paid to make things like this. This was simply me making it on my own just for the heck of it. So it was taking a lot of time and a lot of effort, and that's fine. But I decided at some point, you know, enough is enough. I should just stick to the original plan, make it a bust. I can't just keep spending more and more time. So I trashed the legs, decided to go with the original thing, and I just finished the bust up as it was. Okay, so that's what you see here. I put it on a base just like, this is the original plan. So it actually turned out the way I wanted it to originally, and I'm okay with that. It would have been cool to make the legs, but it was taking way too much time and too much effort and too much cost, so I had to cancel that plan. No big deal as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so the process, if you haven't watched those, and even if you have, I haven't really ever talked about this so much. This is made almost like completely entirely, not counting the things I added to it, out of Super Sculpey, different levels. We had the soft, the firm, and the medium. But it's entirely Super Sculpey for, like I said, almost every single bit. And so how you do that is you make an armature, a frame out of wire or metal or whatever it is that you're going to use. So I made mine out of some wire, and I connected the arms separately, and then I covered that with aluminum foil just to give it some core structure without using a million pounds of sculpt of clay. So you put some foil down, and then you put the clay on top of it, and you keep layering it, and there's different methods. Again, you can check those videos, but otherwise it's completely Super Sculpey. And in fact, you're really supposed to use as much foil as you possibly can so that you have only like probably a 1/4 inch, at most like a 1/2 inch of sculpt on there, of clay on top of the foil. I used as little as I possibly could so I could get as much clay in there as possible so that it would be a really solid, really dense thing. And the reason you're not supposed to do that is because it can very easily blow up, or at least crack when you bake it, because you have to cook this. So you sculpt it and then you cook it to harden it. And I was very careful in how I cooked it. I used some various techniques to make sure it wouldn't explode, and it didn't. I had a couple of tiny little cracks, but those were easily repaired with some Aves Fixit Sculpt. So this guy weighs a ton. In fact, I was going to put him on this display stand that I normally use, my mirrored display stand, to have it rotate around, and it just not happening. This poor guy was creaking and making all kinds of noises and not able to spin unless I helped it. So no display rotation because it's so heavy. So that's the very, very broad strokes of what I did. Again, you can watch the videos to see how it was made. The bead necklace, I got real wooden beads, and I used a wired type of jute or ute rope. And the reason I did that is so that the necklace could actually be shaped to hang in a certain way around his body so that it hangs properly, or however you want it to. And of course it is removable, but you can't tell that there's any wire or anything in there. You can't even figure out how to take it apart unless you cut it. So it's like one solid thing, but it does come off if you want it to. Obviously it's a separate piece, and it is wired so that it can be shaped. And then in his hand, I had to have him holding reused headband because I thought that would be a cool idea. So I made that out of some spandex because it doesn't fray, and it allowed me to give it the right look. And I painted it up to give it a kind of like a beat up, damaged look, so he's holding that. And then I made his pants out of just some cotton cloth that had the right weave, I guess, to make it look like it was to scale. And then, of course, sewed that up so that I could put the belt in there. And so he's just got his rope belt hanging out. And obviously this is the SHIN AKUMA version, so he's got the purple pants with the beads. I like the darker beads personally. I know sometimes he's got light beads, sometimes dark beads. I went with this. There's a lot of different looks for SHIN AKUMA, and I went with kind of like whatever I thought looked cool. That's why he's not wearing a shirt. And then I did paint the kanji on the back. I'll show you that in a second. And all the gloves are sculpted, obviously. And then the base is made out of oak, and it's got some beveling going on it just to give it some detail. And I made the kanji on the front, or I had it made. I went into Photoshop and made the kanji to match the kanji that I painted on his back so that it was the exact same as the one that lights up on his back. I mean, it doesn't light up for the statue, but you guys know in-game his kanji glows on his back. So what I did was I painted that by hand, and I just took a photo of that and put it into Photoshop, and I readjusted it so that it looked right, and then I sent it off and had it laser cut out of some metal, and I painted that up, and I attached that to the base so that the kanji for his base matched the kanji on his back. And so we can talk about the kanji on his back a little bit. It was both a trial in patience, and it was a lot of fun. I really like painting that kind of stuff, but painting with red is not the easiest thing to do. It's very challenging in some cases, and so I had to mix my own red. I mean, all the colors on this guy I mixed myself so that I could get the right shades and everything, but I mixed up a red paint that I thought would look cool, and then I put it on, and it actually did. It actually painted really nicely, and it has a little bit of reflectivity. I don't know if that's the right word. But either way, the kanji kind of has a little bit of a luster to it, so I like that, and I was really pleased with how it came out, so that's what I did there. And then for just the rest of the skin tone, it's just a whole lot of airbrush shading. The kanji was painted by brush, but for the whole body, it's airbrushed. Lots and lots of shading, different colors of tans and slightly orangish tans to give it kind of that SHIN AKUMA look. So that's what that is. And then the gloves were painted by hand with a lot of washes to make them have that kind of leathery look with the stitching in there, which I sculpted by hand. And then for the face, this was such a pain in the butt. And this was the one reason I originally wasn't going to paint this at all. It was just going to be a standard basic sculpt, practice sculpt, and I wasn't going to finish it or anything like that. But as I got going, I'm like, well, let's just finish it. So I did. And so the painting process, I painted the face just like the rest of the body, all with airbrushing and everything. Then I went in and painted the lips again, and I painted the eyes by hand. But then I had to paint the hair, and I'm like, how am I going to do that? There's so many little cuts and creases and things where the hair connects to the head. That was going to be a problem. So I just very carefully painted the hair by hand with a nice gray color, and then I masked off the face, which took me about 3 hours just to mask it off properly. But then I went in with the airbrush and shaded the white on top of the gray, so it has a very subtle shading, which is exactly what I wanted. So I was thrilled that worked out and wasn't a total nightmare. I was so worried I was going to get it on the face somehow, or that the shading wasn't going to look right, but it turned out okay, so I was very happy with that. And then the Topknot thing is actually a separate piece I made with, it was like a combination of the Sculpey and the Aves. And of course that got painted just like the rest of the hair. And then the tie part got painted like the gloves. But, and then the veins and the nipples, they got painted. I went in and painted those by hand. Those were sculpted by hand, obviously, with soft, I guess, Sculpey. And I sculpted those, and I went in and painted those by hand with like a kind of like a slightly grayish color. And then I went in again with the airbrush and kind of shaded back over them so that they were kind of layered underneath the skin, because obviously that's how veins work. And so that was it. So they have a little bit of like a translucent quality to them, but not so much. Like the skin on top, I guess I should say, is like that. And that's about it. I don't think there's really much else to say. Oh, here's the thing. A lot of people asked me as I was posting videos for this during the process, is this thing, like, are you selling this? What are you doing? Well, my intention was never to sell it. It was just, like I said, it wasn't even going to be a finished project. But now that it is done, I'm willing to sell it. I don't necessarily want to, but if somebody throws a number at me that I'm happy with, I'll let it go. I mean, it is what I do for a living, is I sell things I make. So it is something I made, and if somebody wants to buy it, that's fine with me, but I'm also very happy to keep it, being that it's my very first statue. And that'll do it, I guess. You know, if somebody wants it, fine. If not, I'm more than happy and already planned on keeping it, but again, I'm willing to if somebody wants it. So that should answer all your guys' questions. If you have more, though, let me know in the comment section below. We will, I'll do my best to answer them. And again, check out those videos in that top corner there so you can see the build process a little bit. And I guess that'll do it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, other collectibles, all kinds of fun stuff. Pretty much anything that has to do with fun stuff, we do it here. So make sure you come back for all that good stuff. And give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. And in the meantime, keep collecting.